Blackheads usually begin when pores get clogged with excess oil and dead skin cells, so prevention works best when skincare stays gentle, regular, and simple, rather than harsh, aggressive, or constantly changing. Wash acne-prone skin no more than twice a day, and also after heavy sweating, using a mild cleanser and lukewarm water, because frequent washing, rough scrubbing, and very hot or very cold water can irritate the skin and make acne seem worse. Do not try to squeeze, scrape, or clean out blackheads at home, because that can worsen inflammation and may increase the risk of lasting marks or scarring. Choose oil-free or non-comedogenic skincare, sunscreen, and makeup when possible. Remove makeup before bed, and keep oily hair products away from the face. Over-the-counter ingredients such as salicylic acid, adapalene, and benzoyl peroxide can help unclog pores or support acne control, but they can cause dryness or irritation at first, so it makes sense to start slowly and use a light moisturizer if needed. Improvement usually takes several weeks rather than happening overnight, and if acne becomes painful, widespread, scar-forming, or does not improve after a reasonable trial of self-care, it is sensible to see a dermatologist. And now, with that practical advice folded neatly at the front like a clean towel on a bathroom shelf, let the rest of the evening belong to laughter. Because in a small retirement town in Pennsylvania, where the porches were broad, the mail arrived like a sacred ritual, and every front yard seemed to contain at least one decision made by a husband no longer available for questioning. There lived a 79-year-old widow named Lorraine McAllister, who had reached the age where she no longer believed in pretending that nonsense was accidental. In Lorraine's experience, nonsense was usually organized by cheerful people with clipboards. Lorraine lived in a neat brick bungalow with blue shutters, a white porch swing, 2 potted mums, and a narrow front walk lined with stones her late husband, Calvin, had once set in place over the course of 3 entire Saturdays, because he said a proper walkway should look as if it respected itself. Calvin had been a mechanic with patient hands, a taste for burnt toast, and a dangerous weakness for novelty garden decor. Over the decades, he had brought home a concrete frog in rain boots, a cast-iron rooster with a missing tail, and once, during a church rummage sale of questionable dignity, a painted concrete squirrel wearing a little green bow tie and clutching a tiny acorn. He planted the squirrel by the mailbox, stepped back, admired his own judgment, and announced that every respectable home needed one resident who looked like he managed local banking with a hint of corruption. Lorraine had laughed so hard she had to sit on the porch step. The squirrel stayed. It stayed through rainstorms, repainting, grandchildren, one hailstorm, and the long, strange years after Calvin died, when silence moved into the house, but never quite learned how to erase him. The squirrel remained at the mailbox, little green bow tie forward, tiny acorn in its paws, looking both official and faintly untrustworthy, in exactly the way Calvin had loved. Lorraine's 2 closest friends were Dottie Pierce, age 74, retired administrative assistant, owner of a floral handbag large enough to carry peppermints, legal pads, and what appeared to be an entire alternate plan for life, and Harold Boone, age 82, former hardware store manager, amateur pie evaluator, and a man who trusted extension cords, weathered common sense, and first-hand evidence more than he trusted consultants, QR codes, or any phrase that involved the word synergy. Every Thursday morning, the 3 of them met at Maylou's Cafe, where the coffee was bold, the cinnamon toast was generous, and the waitress, Cheryl, called everyone sweetheart in a voice that suggested both kindness and jurisdiction. One Thursday in mid-September, Lorraine arrived 12 minutes late with an expression so sharp that Dottie stopped mid-butter and Harold lowered his coffee cup without taking the sip he'd been aiming at. "That face," Dottie said, narrowing her eyes, "means either the church social has gone unstable again, or somebody has touched your yard." Lorraine sat down, placed her purse beside her, and said, "Someone has appointed my squirrel honorary treasurer." Harold blinked once, Dottie blinked twice. Cheryl stopped in the aisle with the coffee pot halfway tilted, like a witness caught between horror and delight. "You're what?" Dottie asked. Lorraine slid a flyer across the table. It was pale yellow with maroon trim and so many stars around the border that it looked like democracy had been sponsored by a craft store. At the top, it read AUTUMN Heritage Festival. Beneath a list of bake-off judges, pie raffle rules, and hayride times, there it was. "Vote for our honorary community treasurer," featuring local favorites. And there, under candidate number 4, sat a photograph of Calvin's concrete squirrel with the caption, "MR, Reginald Acorn, trusted symbol of thrift, stability, and fall decorum." Dottie let out a sound, somewhere between a gasp and a laugh. Harold took off his glasses, polished them, put them back on, and read the caption again slowly, as if hoping repetition might improve the moral quality of it. "Trusted symbol of thrift," he said. "The squirrel is holding one acorn." "Exactly," Lorraine replied. "He has no fiscal qualifications and his real name is Chester." Now, to a younger person, the accidental nomination of a decorative squirrel for symbolic public finance might seem like a harmless small-town joke, but younger people have not yet learned how quickly "just for fun" becomes fully administered, once enough retirees with time and printer ink take an interest. In Maple Hollow, every event grew complications. A potluck became a leadership issue. A hymn sing became a food table dispute. A yard sale could produce 2 years of strained greetings if somebody priced a casserole dish incorrectly. So by the time the eggs arrived, half the cafe already knew that Lorraine McAllister's squirrel had somehow been entered into civic ceremony. A man at the counter said he'd always thought the squirrel looked conservative with money. A woman near the pie case said the festival board had finally crossed from enthusiastic into dangerous. Cheryl brought over an extra biscuit and said, "No woman should face ornamental corruption on an empty stomach." Dottie had already written "Squirrel Finance Crisis" across the back of a placemat. "We're investigating," she declared. Lorraine sighed. "We're eating breakfast." "Both can happen," Harold said, which was the kind of sentence retired people say only when meddling has already been approved as a public necessity. By 10:30, they stood in Lorraine's front yard beside the mailbox. The place where the squirrel normally stood, paws closed around the acorn, as if defending inherited wealth, was empty. Lorraine stopped so suddenly, Dottie nearly walked into her shoulder. "No," Lorraine said. Dottie turned. "What?" Lorraine pointed. The little brick square by the mailbox was bare, except for a ring of cleaner dirt and one faint glitter thread hooked around the post. Harold bent slowly, muttering at his knees, and examined the ground. "Wheel marks," he said. "Small. Wagon or golf cart." Dottie found a scrap of burgundy ribbon near the mums. Lorraine stood in the middle of the path, stared at the absence, and said, "They have abducted a memorial rodent for public office." "Technically squirrel," Harold said. Harold. Fair. By noon, the whole neighborhood knew. At the mailbox cluster, Mrs. Tinsley asked if the election would proceed in the candidate's absence. At the pharmacy, a cashier said her uncle had already voted for the squirrel because he seemed less likely to raise taxes. At chair yoga, 2 women paused mid-stretch to ask whether a replacement mascot had been discussed. Even Miguel, the groundskeeper, who had wisely built his professional life around avoiding emotional involvement in resident folklore, shook his head and said, "The squirrel? That's wild." Lorraine's daughter called from Columbus after hearing the story through a cousin who put too many exclamation marks in every text. "Mom," she said, laughing so hard she had to stop twice, "why is Dad's squirrel in a government scandal?" "Because this town is one ribbon away from structural failure," Lorraine replied. "Are you upset?" "I am offended on principle and interested in names." The first useful clue came from the woman at the post office, who lowered her voice and said, "I probably shouldn't mention this, but I saw Nancy Beth and Carol Joe loading something small and upright into the back of a golf cart near the festival pavilion yesterday afternoon. They had clipboards and looked very pleased with themselves." Nancy Beth, head of the Heritage Festival Committee, was exactly the sort of woman who would turn a front yard squirrel into symbolic financial leadership if she thought it would improve turnout. Carol Joe, from decorations, had once put a seasonal scarf on the statue outside the bank and called it civic charm. By 1:30, Lorraine, Dottie, and Harold were at the pavilion. Inside, volunteers were already setting up folding tables, cornstalk bundles, orange banners, raffle baskets, and enough plaid ribbon to strangle reason. At the far end of the hall, standing on a decorated crate beneath a hand-painted sign that read, "Wise with Nuts," was the squirrel. He had been polished. His green bow tie had been straightened. And, horrifyingly, someone had placed a tiny pair of gold-rimmed spectacles on his face. Lorraine stopped dead. "Now they've given him reading glasses." Dottie clutched her chest in delighted outrage. Harold folded his arms. "This," he said, "is why committees need permits." Nancy Beth turned, smiling in the brittle, overbright way of a woman who already knew she'd been caught but still hoped the visual result might save her. "Lorraine," she said, "I was just about to call you." "Then today is efficient," Lorraine replied. "Why is my late husband's decorative squirrel on a crate beneath a slogan about fiscal responsibility?" Carol Joe emerged from behind a table of cider cups and looked guilty enough to qualify for confession. Several volunteers slowed their work and became very still, which is one of the purest forms of athletic commitment in retirement communities. Nancy Beth spread her hands. "Now, before you misunderstand," "No," Lorraine said. "I understand perfectly. You took private property from my yard, accessorized it, and entered it into a symbolic office." Harold made a low, approving sound. Dottie opened her notebook. Nancy Beth